Welcome on in, race fans, to race number 5 of the season here in the All-American Racing League. And for the very first time, both this season and in this league, we are turning right and left at my personal favorite road course here in the Sonoma Raceway up in Northern California. And joining me alongside for tonight's fun event is my co-host, Tom Richter. How's it going, Tom?
Good evening, Arie, and good evening, race fans, and welcome back to another week here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Arie, it's going great. We take our second trip out west, this time to Sonoma Raceway for the first road course of the season for the All-American Racing League. And this track is going to pose some challenges to these drivers that they have not yet seen. And I tell you what, Arie, I've been watching the scoreboard over the past hour or so in practice, and the entire top 10 separated by under a second, so that's very close times for a road course.
That it is. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be the first real test for road course racing here in the All-American Racing League. We don't know who the drivers are going to be that stand out here at road courses, but usually there's a handful that fancy these kinds of tracks more so than the ovals, or they'll at least perform a lot better. So seeing the tight times along with that is promising, because as we both know, these road course races can certainly get drawn out just a little bit as they play out. Upcoming schedule after today, it's going to be the final race for a couple of weeks, and that's going to be at Charlotte, one of my favorite oval tracks to go to, always a good time. And then we're off for a couple of weeks before we return in January for Richmond and Rockingham. But to your point, Tom, if we bring up the full leaderboard here in practice, as we're just rounding out the final minute or two, we can see top of the board Christopher Norris with a 1:17.42, 2/10 faster than second place. And beyond that, I mean, that's for all intents and purposes the biggest gap in the field, just that 2/10 right there. So that's pretty impressive.
It really is, and you know, throughout the first 4 races of the season, All-American Racing League has seen 4 different winners, with Cody Gibson taking the win last week at the Monster Mile down in Dover, Delaware. But tonight, different style of racing. Can we go 5 for 5 and lock a 5th driver into the playoffs? Cody Gibson, Zachary Wake, Mark Arthur, and then finally Matt Semple. The previous winners here in the All-American Racing League, so Christopher Norris, Jamie Walker, Joshua Kanata, all drivers trying to add their name to the list out here tonight.
That they are. I've got a good feeling about going 5 for 5 here tonight, Tom, throwing a road course into the mix, just being the unique challenge that these tracks present. I wouldn't be surprised if we walk out of here with a 5th different winner on the season. And I've got to say, you know, for a brand new league that's just kind of up and starting to start out this competitive with different winners in every single one of the races and different names, kind of mixing it up front, along with a couple, you know, that are making themselves stand out. It's been a pretty dang good start to a league, and you couldn't really ask for much more.
It certainly shows the versatility that these drivers have. But we're about to go into our 10-minute qualifying session out here. Usually drivers get 5 minutes, a couple of extra minutes due to the length of the track, as it's going to take these drivers, Arie, probably in the upward section of about 1:45 on an outlap to begin their qualifying attempts here. But looks like a couple of cars are making their way out as they run right now. 55, Gabriel Goli, one of the first drivers to hit the track.
Goli's one of the drivers up to this point in the season that we've seen had his moments, his times to shine. He has not quite gotten that 55 up into victory lane yet, but Goli is one of those drivers that I wouldn't be surprised to see do so at some point this season. We'll see what he can manage around Sonoma Raceway. And while we're making our way around this little warm-up lap, I tell you what, why don't we jump on board with driver 55 and just take a ride from behind the wheel at Sonoma.
Coming out of turn number 7, he's going to go into these treacherous S's where you have to set yourself up for the next one on the current one. If you miss one, it's going to make for a long, windy road down here in the downhill section of Sonoma Raceway. He's going to make his way now down into turn number 10, the right-hander, which is deceivingly difficult. It's very easy to get the left sides in the dirt, but this is going to set you up for a good turn 11, the hairpin, to bring you to the start-finish line.
One thing I'm noticing here with Goli is he's being very particular not to slide the tires on this outlap. He's going fast enough to warm them up, but he is getting as little tire spin as possible, not slinging the car out any which way, because he's going to need all of the grip he can get for this first hot lap down that sharp left-hander at full speed. You've got that car all the way on the right side before you go uphill, and this turn right here, this kind of off-camber to the right, so easy to lose the rear end, trying to get that throttle down, and then you kind of repeat a lot of the same thing right here, just a little bit tighter, a little bit shorter through those S's, and now we're making our way kind of down the hill. You get a hard braking zone to the right, and you can really swing the car out to the left right here and kind of flirt with those tire barriers. The 55 elects not to, and we're into one of the tightest corners on the track.
Couple of drivers out on track right now. You got Christopher Norris, Zachary Wake, Larry Bell, Joshua O'Brien. All the names down at the bottom of your screen. It's going to take a minute or two for times to come across the board, but still following the 55 Ford Mustang of Gabriel. See if he is able to get a good starting position out here tonight. Looks like he is going to flirt with the left side tires down there in turn 10 and now down into turn 11, the hairpin. Arie, this is new on the iRacing.com service. It's been there for a while, if we say the term in real life, but those barriers down in turn number 11, it certainly closes up the track in the hairpin.
That it does, and having that concrete right there around the hairpin, it makes you think twice, that's for certain, but it also limits your visibility. Before it was concrete, you could see a lot more of what was going on ahead of you through that tight hairpin, and now it's a lot more of a guessing game, and you just kind of hope that things aren't going terrible just around that bend.
And it also limits your opportunities to avoid something if something does go awry in that very tight turn 11 down there. But we are currently following. We've switched over to the fastest driver in practice. That is the 38 Ford Mustang of Christopher Norris. See what he's able to do. He is beginning his first time lap out here. Top of the board right now is held by Nick Crawford. Second place, Jamie Walker. Nolan Milnes just jumps up to the third place running.
All sorts of time starting to fall in on the board as we continue to watch Christopher Norris, driver of the 38, made his very first start last week in Dover, if I'm not mistaken, and Norris made himself a name to keep an eye on. He didn't get up there and compete for the win per se, but he did pass a lot of drivers multiple times in Dover. He was very quick, and in the right circumstances may have very well been able to challenge for the win last week. We'll see what he can do across the line for that first time by. Put the 38 top of the board with a 1:17.39.
He's going to come across the timing charts about 0.3 faster than current second place Nick Crawford, and about 3/4 of a second faster than third place Jamie Walker. Other drivers just beginning their qualifying laps. Joseph Klein in the number 5 that we've seen out here every single week in the All-American Racing League. He's about to begin his first lap, as is Mark Arthur and Trevor Harmon.
It's really fun to watch some of these drivers who've got these road courses down, drivers who know where their marks are. They're very good with the technical stuff. Just watching them throw these race cars around the track, they're going to put them right where they want them. The grip is going to be there. They know where the limit is, and it's just so entertaining to watch drivers like the 38 of Christopher Norris right here, who knows every single mark he needs to hit a near flawless lap. And just to kind of take it all in and really see what you could do in these incredibly overweight stock cars at road courses.
Second time by for the 38. Let's see if he's able to pick up or improve on his first lap. First time by was a 1:07.391. Looks like second time is not going to be any faster. Looks like a 1:17.6 for him. Mark Arthur currently on a hot lap right now, completing his, looks like maybe Mark may have had an issue on his first lap. He is already scored as showed as completed a lap, but no time on the board, so a possible off track for the 12.
Very well could have been. That'll catch you down into the hairpin turn 11 for the final time on the qualifying run of that 12 car. Going to get that rear end stepping out just a little bit. Mark Arthur, a winner earlier in the season at Phoenix. Across the line we go. And that is going to be enough to put the 12 car up into P10. Cracks the top 10 with that one. We're going to jump over to Trevor Harmon and that beautiful 029 Toyota Supra down into the hairpin for his final time here on the second lap. Going to take a very wide entry.
On the exit of turn 11, he's going to try to put the power down in that Supra and come across the start-finish line to complete lap number 2. First time was good enough for 18th for Harmon. Second time going to pick up to 17th. So a little bit faster on lap number 2 for Trevor Harmon.
Just a little bit is sometimes all you need. We've got about 3 minutes left in the session. A couple of drivers who can still go out there and either make a second lap or attempt a couple of laps in the first place. Drivers like Puglisi and Alex Fuller have completed 1 out of their 2, and 3 drivers who have not yet gotten out there: Sam Dyer, Brian Troy, Shane Johnson, to potentially set a lap. Everyone else is more or less locked into place as you see it. Christopher Norris provisionally on pole with that 1:17.39 ahead of Nick Crawford and Joseph Klein, 2 names who have shown themselves to be competitive at various points throughout the season already.
Just about 2 minutes remaining in a quiet qualifying session right now. No cars actively out on the track. So Arie, let's take a moment here. Let's set the scene for tonight's race. 63 laps is the number of laps that these drivers are going to be going around the circuit. We're going to see stages at the end of lap number 12 and lap number 30. So we have 2 full course yellow flags that we know are coming out here tonight. But the thing that is striking my eye here is that they only have 4 tire sets out here to use tonight. I think at one point these drivers got to think maybe about an alternate tire strategy than the others.
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes into play. Certainly driving over 60 laps around Sonoma Raceway is no small feat. This is going to be a pretty long race. I can't recall the last time I did a race that long at Sonoma, so only having 4 sets to manage that distance, it will make it interesting, not only in when you elect to take tires, if you elect to take tires and what have you, but more specifically in tire management. I feel like when you come to a road course, any road course, there's always going to be an element of tire management to do better than those in front of and behind you. But when you're kind of limited on tire sets and it's a noticeably longer event like we have here tonight, I think it becomes so important to make sure that you're not sliding those tires when you don't need to be. Make sure you're getting off of the corners without burning those rear tires up. Don't kick that rear end out. Just keep it beneath you, and it'll take you further.
I would absolutely agree, and it also limits your ability for mistakes out here tonight, because if you go for a slide, you could burn a set of tires very early in one of the stages. But drivers have about 20 seconds remaining out here in the qualifying session. Looks like Christopher Norris, Nick Crawford going to be starting us from the front row out here tonight from the All-American Racing League.
Nick Crawford, driver of the 74, has had a fantastic start to the season. Looking to continue that momentum into tonight's race. Got my eyes on that 74. Driver is hungry for a win. I'm very surprised that Crawford has not gotten to victory lane yet. Probably been the closest driver not to have done so. But we'll see how he can manage tonight as we kick on over to the race session officially. And we can get ready to take a look at our official starting lineup.
Starting lineup for tonight's race going to be rolled off by Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford on the front row. They're going to be followed by Joseph Klein and Jamie Walker in 3rd and 4th place. Nolan Mills is going to round out the top 5 starting order, followed by Ryan Rose and Joshua Kanata. Joshua O'Brien is going to be starting in 8th place, followed by last week's winner at Dover, Cody Gibson, and then the top 10, Mark Arthur.
In 11th, it's going to be Zachary Wake in the 39, winner in Daytona, ahead of Larry Bell in 12th. Gabriel Ngoli in the 55 will start us off in 13th, ahead of Kyle Wellman in the 42. 15th is going to be Caleb West, ahead of Dakota Moniz. In 17th, it's Trevor Harmon. Rob Higgs Jr. in 18th, Jackson West in 19th, and rounding out the top 20, it's William Bruton.
And then finding our way to the field of 26 out here tonight, Nicholas Sasek is going to be rolling off 21st out here. Alex Fuller elects not to take a time, followed by Sam Dyer in that number 31 out here tonight. Brian Troy makes his return to the All-American Racing League, followed by Shane Johnson and Christopher Puglisi. Rounds out our field of 26 drivers out here for the first road course of the season of the All-American Racing League schedule.
All right, the warm-up is done, and we are gonna get ready to throw these tracks, or throw these cars to green flag and get them racing at full speed. I tell you what, we gotta get a sponsor for that 38 car. Gotta get someone out there putting their logo on the hood, because that Ford Mustang is quick, and he's proved it so far tonight.
Looks like one driver going to be receiving an end of longest line penalty on the start of tonight's race, perhaps for missing the drivers meeting, undetermined as to the exact reason. But Jackson West in the number 76 going to be taking an end of longest line on the initial start of the race.
Oh, I do believe I would know why that is, Tom, and that is the lack of a number on the side of that race car. That is something that the admins have been getting on these drivers about a little bit more in recent weeks, is making sure that the numbers on the sides of their machines match the numbers that they are racing on track.
We follow these cars around here as everybody makes their way behind the iRacing.com pace car. They brought out the big bucks out here tonight. They got the budget for the Porsche and that safety car out here this evening. We're only going to see that safety car 2 additional times out here tonight, again at the end of the first stage at lap number 12, and then stage 2, where the second batch of stage points is handed out at the end of lap number 30.
It is pretty entertaining that they make the field take this initial pace lap all the way around the distance of the circuit. It's not as bad as at a track like Road America, where you're going for what seems like forever under caution every single time, but get these tires nice and warmed up, maybe drag the brake just a little bit, get some temperatures going, get some heat in there, especially going up into turn 1. That hill is treacherous. One of the most treacherous parts of any road course on the schedule, I would say, that kind of turn 1 hill in Sonoma, and none more so than on these restarts when you're 2x2x2 all the way through the field.
Absolutely, and as you climb the elevation changes, if something happens on the other side of that hill, you may not see it until it's too late. But the iRacing.com pace car going to lead the field down into turn number 10, the second to last corner, out here from Sonoma, California, out here this evening, Arie, and we're going to make a hard left-hand turn down pit road, and it's about time we go racing on a Saturday night once again.
Couple of new looks for some drivers up towards the front. Crawford in that red 74, Walker in that orange 20, not paint schemes we're used to seeing those two in. As we head into the hairpin right here, that bright white 38 of Christopher Norris is going to be in control of the field. As the pace car is down, the green flag is ready, and for the 5th time in the All-American Racing League, we are green.
Green flag, loud pedal is out. Everybody comes up to the gearboxes 4 gears strong. They're all going to make the hard left down into turn number 1, and then the switch back up into turn number 1A, as they like to call it out here. But it looks like the entire field mostly gets their way through the opening corners without issue. Christopher Norris is being chased by Nick Crawford.
Down the back end of the hill right now, and approaching turn number 7, Christopher Norris has the lead ahead of Nick Crawford and Joseph Klein. The top 4 have held position down into this tight braking zone right here. This presents a good passing opportunity. We're going to see one a little bit further back. 3 wide into the corner, sends the 21 car. I do believe that was the 21 of Nicholas Sasek. We've got an issue for the 83.
William Bruton goes off track in the S's on lap number 1. No damage, no harm, no foul. Maybe a little bit of scuff on the tires. We'll get that queued up and see if we can't take a look in a moment. But William Bruton off track early in tonight's event, loses a couple of positions.
That he does, and as we complete lap number 1, up front, it's a tight battle. Christopher Norris yet to run away from Nick Crawford, but these two have gapped about a second On third place, Joseph Klein, as we make our run up the hill into turn 1 once again. That 74 trying to keep the 38 honest. Ride on board here with Nick Crawford, driver in second place at the moment out of Las Vegas, trying to chase down Christopher Norris, keep the pressure on. Sometimes that's all you need to do, Tom, is keep the pressure on, and you won't even need to make the pass because they'll kind of give it to you anyway.
It absolutely is setting itself up to look like that as we're coming down into turn number 7 as we have a passing opportunity in this corner. One of the few passing opportunities on the track here, Arie. Once you get into the S's here, you almost have to kind of concede unless you're really going for it at the end of the race and it's the last lap or so. But once you get past turn number 7, it's pretty much follow the leader through these S's before you see the next passing opportunity down in turn 11.
Yeah, certainly the case through the S's. It's either got to be the last lap or I've got to be mad enough at the person I'm trying to pass to go side by side through there. I would do it to you in a heartbeat. That's all I know.
Oh, gosh, I love it. But Nick Crawford has closed up the gap a little bit to the race leader of Christopher Norris. Joseph Klein is about 1.7 seconds back off of the top 2 that you see running right here. Jamie Walker is settled into 4th place, and Ryan Rhodes has gained a spot in the early stages of tonight's race as the top 5.
A little bit of housekeeping. Nicholas Sasek has had an issue of his own that has gotten him some terminal damage. Not entirely sure what happened to driver 21. It looks like he got turned into the hairpin by the 45. Is waiting for a time to rejoin. Yeah.
This is what we were talking about in the pre-race, Arie. You get down into the enclosed turn 11 area, and you don't have the option. You don't have many options, I should say, to get that car pointed in the right direction. And it looks like there was a little bit of extra contact there with William Bruton.
Yeah, with those extra cars coming as well. And speaking of William Bruton, we did have that momentary hiccup for Bruton in the 83. You see the 21 almost take the 83 out with that hard hit right there. And it looks like Bruton just drops off of that curb. You could see how unsettled the rear suspension was, and he was probably on the gas, ready to get going through the S's, and that combination just sent that car around. Luckily for the 83, he didn't get any contact with the wall, though I do believe later this lap he would have that slight contact with Sasek in the hairpin. He's still going, but Bruton's definitely seen the most action so far.
One of the closer battles out on track right now, Zachary Wake chasing down Dakota Moniz in the 05 directly in front of him, trying to chase down that Toyota Supra, but he's got Rob Higgs Jr. directly behind him in the 80, and Gabriel Magoli also within camera frame. So you got a battle of about 4 drivers. This is going to be a battle for the 10th place running position.
That was a fantastic shot from our crew in the trailer to get the rear ends sliding out of, I believe, all 4 of those drivers in a row coming off of the crest of that hill right there. But that goes back to one of the things that we were talking about earlier, Tom, is not using up those rear tires too much because we have to go such a distance on so few tires here tonight. If you're kicking out your rear end every single time you're going through a fast corner, you're going to have a real hard time when the tires are getting old.
And keep in mind, even though the time in tower says 9 laps to go in the stage, going to be 8 here in a moment. 8 laps is a long time around here, as it's going to take, as these drivers are turning lap times around the 1:18 second mark. So these drivers have about another 11 and a half, maybe 12 minutes of green flag racing before they see the first stage of the night. So you upset your tires now, you got a long way to deal with them.
That you do as we continue to monitor this battle just outside of the top 10, 11th, 12th, and 13th as it sits. One of our biggest movers of the race is the driver ahead of Zachary Wake, Dakota Moniz, in the 05, has made his way up 6 positions from where he qualified and looks to be blazing fast, as is on that race car along the side. A couple of our other biggest movers, Rob Higgs, a couple positions back in the 80. He's up 6 positions. Alex Fuller in that Scooby-Doo machine. You know I love this paint scheme anytime I get to take a look at it out on track. Alex Fuller is up 8 positions from where he started. Driver who had a very good run going last week in Dover, just to have it fall apart due to incident. Alex Fuller looking to bounce back and do some good stuff in that Scooby-Doo machine.
The battle for the lead is not separating. Christopher Norris still within a half a second of second place, Nick Crawford. Nick Crawford has been really the only one that's been able to keep up with the 38, as third place Joseph Klein has, we've gapped him by about 2.25 seconds back to third place. But these top two race leaders here, Arie, I see some lap traffic in the distance off the race leaders, and where they catch the lap traffic could certainly play a factor into this battle for the race lead.
I would imagine it definitely will. I feel like lap traffic hurts more than anything at road courses.
Issues for Trevor Harmon, issues for Jackson West, issues for Christopher Puglisi, as we got cars stopped in turn number 11. Let's take a all right, so we come into it already with issues for, is that the 30, I want to say, the 53 as well. The 29 Trevor Harmon comes in here, and well, we're gonna have a stack up.
I do believe this started, I want to say that's the 74, potentially, not the 74, excuse me, the 76. That green car without a number, Jackson West. I would love to see if we can't go a little further back, and it looks like, wow, that is an interesting one. The closing speed from the 53. I feel like we got to go even further back right here. This is Puglisi coming up on Jackson West. Wow.
Gonna get into the back of did you see anything there, Arie, where
it was
somebody missed the mark, or if it was different?
It was certainly weird. It seemed like Puglisi was getting on the brakes at a decent time, and then it's like the brakes just kind of gave out for a minute, right around where like we heard the engine blip just a little bit. It was very strange. It didn't feel like it was a bad time to start braking, but it's like he started and then like the brakes were let off of it entirely.
Other drivers that were involved in that incident, Trevor Harmon lost a couple of positions. He's back down in 22nd place from that. Christopher Puglisi back in 23rd place running order as they run with 6 laps to go in stage number 1, but some heavy damage to that front end of that 53.
One of the closest battles on track at the moment. It's P11, Dakota Moniz, Zachary Wake. Back to this battle right here, and they're trying to chase down Rob Higgs in that 80, or rather, it's the other way around. Rob Higgs now up 8 positions from where he started in this Christmas mobile. That Ford Mustang spattered in snow. That 80 car is making his way up into the top 10, trying to get some stage points here in the first stage of the race.
Again, one of the biggest movers of the night is this 80 of Rob Higgs Jr. Made his way up into the top 10 running order with 5 laps to go in the stage. Started 18th out here tonight, and you know, that's a lot to be said for a road course, Arie. It's not always easy to gain those positions. Of course, you can gain positions as people go off track or whatever. We haven't really seen a whole lot of that. Maybe 1 or 2 issues happening mid to the back of the pack, but up front, it looks like it's been mostly on-track passes.
That it has, and up front at that, there's only been a single pass inside of the top 9 on track at the moment. That was Ryan Rose ahead of Nolan Milnes for P5. All of the rest of the top 9 are in the position in which they started this race, albeit some have kept closer than others. One of the closest is this battle right here, 87 and 7. That's Joshua O'Brien leading Cody Gibson, last week's winner, the Flamin' Hot Cheetos machine. He's going to dive down to the inside into the hairpin. Can he make it stick? Can he make the pass? He's going to do so wonderfully as we start to work lap 8.
Put Cody Gibson up to the 8th place running position in front of O'Brien and that 87 as they're going to cross the start-finish line to begin their lap number 9. And a couple of other battles happening out on track right now. Zachary Wake and Dakota Moniz. These drivers have not gone anywhere. The battle for the race lead now has opened up by about just under 2 seconds advantage to Christopher Norris. Nick Crawford still holding on in 2nd place, but Joseph Klein rounds out the top 3 as they run now to as these drivers start to see the end of stage number 1.
There's a little bit of front right damage on the 39 of Zachary Wake. I'm not sure where he picked it up. It could have been from contact with another driver. You can see it right there. Pretty noticeable on the right front of that race car. Hopefully it doesn't affect his run too much as he looks down to the inside of Moniz in the 0-5, trying to stick a nose in there, but the S's are coming up. And, oh, gonna get way sideways right there. That's not what you want to be doing on these tires, but good recovery as he's gonna tuck back into line and start to set this pass up once again.
You heard him out to play with the throttle as soon as he got loose there on the entry to the S's, and does a nice job of holding it off. Alex Fuller currently runs in 13 directly behind these two drivers, up 9 spots. The biggest mover of the night is that number 45 that I know you love out there, Arie, in that Scooby-Doo purple and orange and green and all sorts of colors. Chevy Camaro for Fuller.
What can I say? I grew up on Scooby-Doo. I tell you what, we've got more issues we got issues all over. Is the 0-5 of Moniz. He's going to lose 2 positions, maybe more. What is going on?
Issues. Could he be out of gas? He's not out of gas, but he's got some serious issues. You see him shaking the car around.
I wonder if he's not experiencing some technical difficulties, perhaps, with the racing rig. I'm not sure what happened right there. We can maybe catch a replay of Moniz. Seems fine. Oh, he accidentally money shifted.
He goes. Oh yeah, yep. He goes down. That was a great shot there that we were able to find.
He money shifted again. Wow. Sorry to cut you off there, Tom. that was a couple instances of him trying to get it in gear and it just went down instead.
That's a difficult pill to swallow, Arie, when you make one mistake and then immediately make another one. But following the 27 of Brian Troy around in this Toyota Supra, it looks like he's gonna
a little indecisive on that one. I'm not entirely sure what went on there.
Coming out of turn number 10 here, it looks he's slowing down as if he's going to come down into pit road, but then maybe he was thinking, oh, I didn't realize pits just closed with 2 to go in the stage, possibly?
It could very well be the pits closing.
He goes left and then right and then left again, and then unfortunately right into the barrels.
Well, either way, would hate to be Brian Troy getting that caught on television right there, but nonetheless, back up front, it's Christopher Norris in the 38, who has indeed broken the gap wide open to second place Nick Crawford. As we take a look at another replay right here, issues for the 31 of Sam Dyer coming off of that hairpin. So easy to do, Tom. Just spin those rear tires a little too much.
Gonna go for a lazy spin, no harm, no foul. He's gonna carry that Ford Mustang through without any damage, but white flag is out in the stage, and stage 1 has been all Christopher Norris in that Ford Mustang. Up front, second place Nick Crawford, third place Joseph Klein, as they run Jamie Walker and Ryan Rose, the top 5. And drivers going to be getting a batch of stage points as they run, and then the entire top 10 also looking for their share of them as well.
Closest battle on track, it's Mark Arthur just in time. We're going to jump over to passing Caleb West in the 48, move the 12 up into P15, down to 5 from where he started. Mark Arthur had a less than ideal start to the race, but has been clawing up some positions since then. A little bit further up, Alex Fuller's run towards the points is going to come up 1 spot short. I'm going to run out of time before the stage is up, is that 45 car. And, of course, Christopher Norris in the 38. You can see just how spread out we are already, Tom. We were just in the hairpin. Now we're in the S's, coming out of the S's with the race leader. And that was only 10, 12 laps.
Absolutely. As you take a look at the track map around here, you got to go all the way down into that hairpin on the bottom right of your corner. You see that little 38 dot. That is the race leader. Now that all the drivers are going to have to come around, but Christopher Norris is the miser of stage points and laps led in stage number 1 as we wait for the entire top 10 to come through before we see the yellow flag.
And speaking of, it might not be over yet. Alex Fuller might be making me eat my words down into the hairpin here, chasing down that 80 of Rob Higgs. He's going to get there before the hairpin. Higgs sends it in deep on the brakes, too deep. He's going to lose the rear end and take a big hit into the outside wall. The final stage point goes to Alex Fuller, and significant damage for the 80 of Rob Higgs, who got...
One more look at that as they come down in here. No, actually no contact. I thought initially there may have been contact between those two drivers, but it looks like the 80 just locks up the brakes, and he's going to go around sideways into the tire barriers down here in turn number 11.
Tried to just get a little cheeky in the braking zone to hold on the outside, but when you overdrive a corner, it's so easy to lose that rear end, and when you lose that rear end, you are just along for the ride. There is nothing you can do at that point. Hopefully you can get that damage fixed, and it isn't too bad for driver number 80. That rear spoiler kicked up just a little bit, but stage winner, 10 points to the 38 of Christopher Norris, coming out here this week in Sonoma and making a statement. He's going to try and make it 5 winners in 5 races to start us out here in the All-American Racing League, but he can hold on the rest of the way.
Nick Crawford's also going to pick up some stage points. Comes in here tonight, the driver with the most points without a win. 5th in the playoff standings. Nolan Milnes looks like Nolan is going to miss. No, excuse me. Nolan's going to come home in 6th in stage number 1 and pick up some stage points as well. Nolan 2nd in the points without a win. So all these valuable stage points being handed out here, and you got to expect we're going to see everybody come down onto pit road. Wonder if we'll see some of these drivers who maybe kept care of their tires, Arie, in these first 12 laps. Maybe try a 2-tire strategy through this round of yellow flag pit stops.
Could very well be the case. I eagerly await us finding out as we make our long journey down towards the S's and later stages of the track. We can probably even pull up the track map here and still show a handful of drivers catching up to the field, pacing through the S's on the bottom of the track map right there. Handful still probably going at mostly full speed to get themselves all caught up before we make these pit stops. For most of these drivers, it'll be the very first time. A couple pit stops to note. It looks like the 12, the 42, the 43 have all been on pit road, albeit it looks like, I'm not sure what's going on with that. Tom being there on the lead lap, but their pit lane time was multiple minutes worth. I'm not sure what to take that information as, but here we go then. Top 3 nose to tail. Bit of a gap back to Walker in the 20. He'll probably close that gap. Remember that the speed limit line does not begin until right here. So you make your way around that bend before we're enforcing the speed limit that is down pit road. And this pit road notably has quite the kink in it, right about here, where that front straightaway turns as well.
Everybody coming down for competitive service for the first time of the night, being led by the 38 of Christopher Norris, 2nd of Nick Crawford. Joseph Klein comes into the pits in the 3rd place running order. How did they exit, and do we see any alternate tire strategies out here? Ryan Rose going to come out with 2 tires and take the race lead under this yellow flag condition out here. So, all right, we got our first taker.
Well, you asked and you received. Ryan Rose in the 78, another driver who I'm surprised hasn't broken through to victory lane yet this season, and a driver who I've raced at road courses personally. Ryan Rose, good at the road courses, good at turning right and left. We'll see what he can do with 2 tires. Can that 78 Camaro, potentially he might have been saving something in that first run, knowing he was going to do this heading into stage 2, knowing the track position was the most important thing. And let's not forget, the track position is important, but controlling the restart is probably the most important of anything.
Yeah, I like this look here for the 78, Arie, right? So stage number 2 is 18 laps on paper, but we're clicking off laps as they run right now. I believe they're currently working. They're working lap number 14. We're going to be getting lap number 15, probably green on lap 16. So 18 on paper, but we're probably going to have just about the same number of green flag laps in stage 2 as we did in stage 1. I like this look for the 78. It's an opportunity for stage 3.
That it is, and I tell you what, while we're pacing around waiting for this race to resume, why don't we pull up our stage 1 winner? And we've got him right here, our stage 1 winner, Christopher Norris in the 38. You got the pole, you led every lap in stage 1. It looked at first as though Crawford was going to continue to pressure you through the stage, but towards the back half of it, you were able to open that gap up and pull away. How are you feeling about what you've got in that 38 Mustang tonight? And how are you feeling about that strategy call from the 78?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's a good strategy by him. I don't know if he pit early, but I mean, hey, if it works out for him, it works out for him. But I know I'll be putting up a fight trying to get by him. But yeah, Nick Crawford definitely tried to keep me honest. But I just try to keep my tires under me, keep it straight, keep it going. And it put me up a pretty good gap. But not to do it here again, not to do it against Ryan. So hoping I can get by him quickly. I don't know what his tires are like. I don't know if they're fresh or old, but we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. Well, good luck here in stage number 2. We'll send you down to be with the team once more. Words from our stage 1 winner, Christopher Norris, newer to the All-American Racing League. If you can be newer, the league itself is new. We're 5 races in, but hey.
And there's one way to make a name for yourself, Arie, and that's to come out here, lead some laps as he's done out here tonight from Sonoma Raceway. And everybody is on notice that 38 is fast out here tonight. What is he able to do with the 78 in the opening laps of stage number 2? Now, remember, this is going to put the control of the restart not in the hands of Christopher Norris, which he had as the pole sitter on stage 1, but the 78 of Ryan Rose, who is elected to take the let's not use that camera, as he is elected to take the right side on this restart here. So he's gonna have to get a good restart past the start-finish line and sets himself up for a good turn.
I was just about to bring it up before you did, Tom. Interesting of note, Ryan Rose choosing the off line for the restart. At least typically they would start you where Norris is at the moment. Though, let's not forget, Ryan Rose, his play right here is to get a good enough jump on the restart that he can hold the position going uphill, because once you're going uphill, you want to be where Ryan Rose is in the 78. And if you're in control of when they launch, you're probably in a good enough spot to hold off the driver to your side through that first little bend on that front straightaway. So it's a little bit of a risk, but the reward is up there going up the hill if Ryan Rose can hold on. He is on 2 tires, and I'd be more than anything concerned about that rear tire on the side that he started the race on.
We're about to find out how it plays out to begin stage number 2 out here. Stage 1 done and away and in the books for the All-American Racing League for the Desert Dash 63 out here tonight. We got about 12 laps of green flag racing before we see that pace car come out one more time out here tonight at the end of lap number 30. But through the hairpin, everybody goes, all going to make that hard right-hand turn, and we're about to see these drivers come up through the lab pedal. Once again, Ryan Rose brings us to the restart.
Into the restart zone we go, field in the hands of Ryan Rose, who's going to be leading for the first time. On the loud pedal we go. Rose has the advantage. He's going to clear, heading up the hill, and now looking for that right-hander, Jamie Walker to the inside. And, we're going to have Norris to the inside of Rose as well. We're still side-by-side for 3rd place between Walker and Crawford.
The lead is under pressure from Christopher Norris as he tries to take the lead back away from the 78 on 2 tires. 3rd place is settled out with Nick Crawford, Jamie Walker in the 20, running directly behind them. The top 5 has settled out with Nolan Milnes, but now down here into turn number 7, our second opportunity for passing, and the 38 with some contact to the rear of the 78 and the 38. But these drivers still continue 1-2 through the S's.
We can see the rear bumper of the 78 of Rose. That was from the contact just now. It was a hard enough hit to upset the rear bumper of that 78. We're still going, riding on board here with Christopher Norris, our Stage 1 winner, trying to keep the pressure on, trying to find a spot into the hairpin. Given the brand new tires are on, he's got to make this move quick if he wants to get there. The longer they run, the more the tires will equalize. He's going to bump the 78, push him out of the way just a little bit, let him know, hey, I'm here. He's going to have to go the long way around on the front straightaway, and he's going to have to line back up one more time for another attempt. But that 38 is aggressive on the bumper.
I think what you're seeing here, Arie, is I think you're seeing that the 38 realizes that the 74 was with him the entire stage 1. He doesn't have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'll pass you when I pass you, if I do pass you. But the 74 is also fast out here tonight as well. And if you lose track position out here tonight, it could be huge to set yourself up for 3.
And another thing I'm noticing, Tom, is we have the entire field stacked up out front. We have a train of the entire top 10 just about, all following Rose and the 78. We're going to get a look to the inside for the race lead. Both of them a little sideways as we approach the S's. Who gives and who takes? Rose is going to duck back into line, move the 38 back up into the lead, and now the task is on for Crawford. Maybe Walker's going to get there to challenge for third. Drivers trying to figure out where they can slide in, and that 74 has got to get around the 78 to chase down the 38.
The give and take is quickly turning into a grab and go, and we may see another one of those down here in turn 11 as you got a whole stack of cars, I believe the word is kerfuffle that you like to use, of cars down in the hairpin in one of the tightest corners on the track. But Jamie Walker under fire from Nolan Milnes, Nick Crawford putting all the fire on Ryan Rose right now as they all
Up the hill we go one more time as most of these drivers have gotten themselves sorted out at this point. The pressure is still on Ryan Rose in second place on those 2 tires, trying to hold off Nicholas Crawford in the 74, trying to make a run to the inside now into this hard braking zone. He's going to think about it into the next corner instead, wait for a good exit right here, and this might be the best opportunity he's going to get.
All this is playing out, and Christopher Norris has opened up just under a 2-second gap between himself and second place Ryan Rose as they run right now. Nick Crawford trying desperately to make a pass on the 78, and I do believe that we may see the bumper here from the 74 before too long as he sees the 38 walking away.
I tell you what, Tom, this is some of the best road course racing I have seen in regards to racecraft between the 38, the 78, and the 74. And even those drivers behind, some of the close quarters combat that we have seen around Sonoma here in the last couple of laps in this restart has been so impressive. The 78 of Rose, he's going to get a little loose. That's going to give the spot to the 74. He's also going to lose out to the one of Milnes, and you can see Rose struggling down that front straightaway to keep that rear end planted. Those 2 tires just not quite working out in the way he had hoped. Jamie Walker going to take a peek to the inside, and he gets into the 1, does the 78. Nolan Milnes goes around after getting tagged in the rear bumper. He's going to wait for an opportunity to get pointed in the right direction, and it looked like the 78 sends it in just a little too deep. He's going to get into the 1. I wonder if the 78 wasn't spooked a little bit by the 20 sending it to his inside.
I want to agree with that statement here, Arie, because if you take a look at the 20 of Jamie Walker doesn't do anything wrong here, right? But he puts the nose down into the right side, and that probably makes the 78 gas up a little bit more than he wants to, just to try to protect that position. And as he's gassing up, the 1 is still off throttle, just trying to get through the corner, but significant damage for the 20 of Jamie Walker. Alex Fuller's going to get around. Mark Arthur's going to get around. Looks like Joshua Kanada's going to get around and settle into a top 6 running position. But issues for the 20, issues for the 1, and, well, the 78 also having some issues.
Couldn't have called it better myself on that incident right there. You can see the damage on the back of Milnes in the 1. That damage I don't think is going to hurt you too much at Sonoma. Will keep tabs on the 1 car, but as it all has played out, up towards the front, Ryan Rose holds on to P3 with a new challenger in the picture. Joseph Klein in the 5 is now going to look to take over that position. He's got the pressure just about as packed as you can get it. Cody Gibson ready to make a move just behind. If it comes down to that, they're going to race all the way down into turn 7, hard braking zone. And I like Klein taking the position right here. Rose is definitely fighting for all he's worth, though. The longer he survives on those 2 tires, Tom, the better it's going to be for him.
It absolutely is. If you can just have a net gain out here on the tires, that's what you're looking for. But first time we've said Cody Gibson's name out here tonight. Last week's winner at Dover Motor Speedway, the Monster Mile, whatever you want to call it. But Cody Gibson already a winner in the All-American Racing League, looking to get his 2nd win of the season and also become the first 2-time winner in the All-American Racing League. He's got some work to do tonight if he wants to hold that title out here at Sonoma. He's going to get down onto the inside of the 78 of Ryan Rose, going to power down. Everybody's going to make the hard left-hand kink back down to the start-finish line. And while Ryan Rose continues to lead 4th place over 5th of Gibson.
Gibson currently the highest running active winner here in the All-American Racing League, down in P5. The top 4 all looking for their first win of the season and first win in the series. And it's looking pretty likely so far, if events are anything to go by, that we'll have 5 for 5 tonight. But Gibson, he's going to do everything he can. A driver who's been open about not being a road course racer. Cody Gibson in the 7, they're not his thing, not his specialty. But I've got to say, Tom, you and I have raced around Gibson a fair amount. We've watched him race a fair amount. He has gotten significantly better at the right and left turns as of late.
Yes, he has. We just saw Cody Gibson at the Charlotte Roval a couple of nights ago. Had a solid run out there. I want to say he finished 3rd, if memory serves me correctly, for Cody Gibson. So Cody Gibson upping his road course game, and with a lot of road courses on the schedule across any league that you run now, you have to be good at road courses. You don't have the gimme anymore that you used to have with only having 1 or 2. Now a lot of leagues are putting 3 or 4 road courses on their short schedule. So certainly a very valuable tool to have when you come to the left and right turns.
Very much so. We're going to watch from the rear end of the 78 of Rose. Up the hill we go. Gibson in pursuit, trying to close in, trying to stay glued to the rear end of Rose. I think we're starting to get to that crossover, Tom. I do believe here, based on what I'm seeing, where Ryan Rose's 2-tire strategy is evening out with all of the other drivers around him who all took 4 on that first yellow, on that stage break. We're getting to the point now where the tires have kind of stabilized, and I tell you what, Ryan Rose, he's up 2 spots from where he started this race, so that is a net gain.
He's going to lead Cody Gibson down into the S's one more time. Following Cody Gibson, you got Joshua Kanata in that number 16 Toyota Supra out here tonight. Quiet night so far for Joshua, having a pretty good run out here this evening with those green. We'll have to talk about those green wheels on that 16,
will.
But with those green wheels on that car, having a solid run so far this evening. Doesn't look like he has a scratch on that.
He's got quite the color combo going on. He's got that deep red. He's got the white. I think the roll cage is like a cyan. Ooh, issues for Rose, who gets sideways out of the hairpin. He's going to lose 1, 2, maybe 3 spots if Jamie Walker can make it stick in that Home Depot 20. He is certainly going to try around the outside, even with all of that damage. Jamie Walker will not be denied. Make it 3 lost positions just like that for the 78 of Rose. Lap car of Shane Johnson going to get just out of the way of some of our race leaders right there through a tricky part of the track. But that did not go how Ryan Rose would have hoped. A little bit further back, just now creeping into the picture, is that Scooby-Doo machine, Alex Fuller. He's up 14 spots from where he started this race and charging.
I'm really quite surprised at how well this 20 is running after that damage, Arie. Obviously, we're not at a Michigan, we're not at an auto club, we're not at a very aerodynamically challenging track here, but we saw that hood flapping, and we haven't seen him back down on pit road because it occurred immediately after the stage 2 green flag. So still surprised to see that 20 running strong, and he's running strong up in 6th.
He certainly is. I am also pretty surprised at what I'm seeing out of Jamie Walker. You know, having raced Jamie a fair amount, I know if there's any driver who's going to hustle the most out of a damaged race car, it's going to be Jamie. He's quick and he's relentless, but I thought that damage would hold him back just a little bit more. I tell you what, another driver, we were just talking about him a little bit ago, Joshua Kanata in that 16. This season, over the course of 4, now 5 races, he's proving himself to be a driver that can be pretty quick, but particularly reliable. He's not going out there and leading every single lap, but that 16, he seems to pick up positions every single week. He's there, he keeps the car clean, he runs his line, he's consistent, he doesn't really make mistakes, and when the opportunity presents itself, he is usually there to capitalize. He's in a good spot to do so. Last week at Dover, it almost went his way, if not for the alternate tire strategy from Cody Gibson. The 16 had to fend off a hard-charging Jamie Walker for lap after lap after lap and did a great job. We see him now running in P5, up 2 positions from where he started this race and looking to get more.
Joshua Kanata, one of several drivers who have been here through all 4 opening races in the All-American Racing League, with a pair of top 5s to show to his name as he comes in here. It looks like he's going to be 4th in the points as I read him. So good early opening to his season, and that'll set you up for the playoffs come that time. But clicking around back here, we got some other battles happening out on track right now. Going to about the middle of the pack here right now, Kyle Wellman following the Daytona winner of Zachary Wake as these drivers come around. One of the closer battles happening out on track right now. Both Kyle Wellman down a spot, Zachary Wake down a couple of spots as they run right now, both outside the top 10.
Keeping each other honest, that's for sure. Larry Bell, the next car behind in that Purple Lightning 43, trying to chase these 2 down, but keeping each other company back here in 14th and 15th place, respectively. They've got quite the gap ahead of them to Mills in 13th. It seems to be one of the biggest gaps in the field, one of the biggest breaks. Speaking of big gaps, we have not talked about it too much up to this point in stage 2, Tom, but Christopher Norris is 7.5 seconds ahead of second place Nick Crawford in the 74. Quite a different tale from stage 1, though we did have the 78 to throw into the mix, and this stage is, of course, a little bit longer, but just goes to show that 38 car, he's strong on the short run, he is very strong on the long run.
Possible issues for Caleb West. Goes off track, goes on pit road. Let's take a look here at the 48 of Caleb West. I first see a notification about him going off track, so that's going to be this one, and then it looks like he's going to come down pit road.
We are seeing something entirely different. The camera's not working on the TVN for some reason. Not entirely sure why.
All right, well, Caleb West went off track.
Apologies for
Caleb
the technical
West,
difficulties.
To close that loop, Caleb West sitting on pit road with terminal damage, goes off track. He went nose first into the outside retaining wall, and I did see some black smoke coming up from that hood, so that tells me terminal damage for the 48 of Caleb.
This battle's starting to heat up just a little bit. Kyle Wellman trying to pull some crossover moves, setting up Zachary Wake in the 39, trying to find the opportunity to make the pass. We're going to ride on board with driver 42 to make our way through the middle section of the track right here, down into the hard braking zone of turn 7. Seems like the 39 is kind of able to pull away just a little bit more, maybe better on speed, but it seems like he just kind of falls back into the grips of Wellman with these slight little slip-ups or kicking the rear end out.
You see, the 39 of Zach Wake was able to put some separation between him and the 42 through the S's. And, well, cars on pit road, the 78 on pit road with 3 laps to go in the stage. A couple of other cars on pit road, Nolan Milnes on pit road as well. So, all right, you want a strategy, here we go.
Here we go indeed. Driver's going to try and undercut the start of stage 3, which is a big one, Tom, given it's our last caution of the evening. Off track for the 45 of Alex Fuller, who is up many a position from where he started this race. He's going to lose a couple right there. We'll take a look and see if we can't see him come back around through the hairpin and up towards the hill right here. Gets off track right there just a little bit, following the 78, who elects...
I believe there were multiple off tracks here for Alex Fuller. All right, let's take a look at the one that we were just looking at here. This is coming up the hill into turn number 1.
Well, that was interesting.
That is very much off track.
Maybe we should get an onboard of that. I'm wondering what the decision-making process was like to just take that hard right-hand turn to head off track here. I guess he just decided he wasn't going to make it the way he was going? Huh. I'm not sure. From Alex Fuller in the 45, that is certainly... That's a new one. But that 45's...
Had to serve a slowdown for cutting the course there, but no harm to that car aside from a time penalty, which has already been served, no damage. But Mark Arthur now under fire from Joshua O'Brien as they come up through the hills through turns 2, 2A, and 2B.
Something like that, I do believe. Not the only close battle either. Look at this. We've got Jamie Walker pressuring the 16 of Joshua Kanata, repeat from last week in Dover. Last week, of course, Jamie Walker being the pretty de facto fastest driver on track, was trying to get ahead of the 16 who got track position on him, but that 16 held him off lap after lap after lap. A little bit of a repeat. I'm sure Jamie Walker does not want to see the 16 of all drivers in front of him. We'll see what we can do here as we work 2 to go in stage number 2. Bunch of stage points up for grabs, and every last one of them might count by the time the playoffs are ready to start.
Second to last time that they're going to come down into the hairpin out here as we see the white flag out over stage number 2. Christopher Norris has a comfortable gap over second place of over 8 seconds before you find Nick Crawford. Joseph Klein about 9.5 seconds back, but one of the closer battles that we're looking at right here between the 16 of Kanata and the 20 of Jamie Walker. Walker's going to get sideways on the exit of 1. He's going to keep that 20 underneath him, but going to allow for some separation and some breathing room for Joshua Kanata.
That it does as we work the final lap of stage number 2. The 5 of Joseph Klein has been closing in on the 74 of Nick Crawford in recent laps. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get there. Battle for P2 and 9 stage points up for grabs depending on who gets that edge. Crawford's going to do what he can to hold off that hard-charging 5 car. Up front, Norris has opened the gap up to nearly 8 seconds. As we currently run heading towards the hairpin, looks like this battle is going to have to wait for after the stage break. Oh, maybe the 74 gets really loose, rear end loose through the hairpin. The 5 gets extremely rear end loose off of the hairpin. These two drivers giving it everything they've got to try and get the grip down.
We wait for the 10th place car to come around the start finish line. That's currently held by Gabriel Goli. In that number 55 Ford Mustang, he's going to come down into the hairpin, and we're going to see our second stage flag and final yellow flag of the evening give the stage points away 1 point to the 55 of Goalie.
Across the line he goes, and the yellow will fly for the second time this evening. Christopher Norris officially sweeps the stages and the pole at that. Here in Sonoma this evening, will anyone have anything for Christopher Norris in the 38? It might have to come down to strategy, as we might have issues under caution right here, Tom, for Sam Dyer in the 31. Looks like after the yellow flag has flown, getting down into the hairpin, just going to lose the rear end a little bit right in front of Nolan Milnes. Keeps it going after that, but never something you want to see, especially under caution.
All right, so the field going to line up behind the iRacing.com pace car. Christopher Norris going to be the first one to see it, as the field of 26 drivers going to come around. And, well, stage 1 points go to the 38. Stage 2 points go to the 38. Does anybody have anything for the 38 in stage 3?
It's a good question. I think it comes down to strategy, if you ask me. I think we've seen, I guess with the 78, he was on 2 tires. I'm curious as to if somebody with 4 tires got around him on a restart, or maybe off a pit road or what have you. Maybe there would be a chance, but I think, Tom, it's going to come down to strategy more than anything if somebody wants a shot at that 38.
He's from my neck of the woods, the black and gold Steelers Nation over here.
Oh, there you go.
A little bit of housekeeping as these cars pace around underneath yellow flag conditions, waiting for the drivers to come around and make their second yellow flag pit stops of the night. A couple of drivers did elect to pit right before the end of the stage too, Ari. Drivers like Ryan Rose, drivers like Dakota Moniz. They're both running back in 19th for Rose and 21st for Moniz. Looks like they're both going to be... Are they both a lap down? So how is that going to work for them?
Certainly not as they intended. I can tell you that much, Tom. I think they were hoping that they could make that pit stop and come out on the good side of it. I'm not sure how they ended up a lap down, though. I tell you what, Tom, I'm seeing a pit lane time of 1:31 for Rose, potentially a speeding penalty. For Moniz in the 0.5, it was only 17 seconds. He's a handful of laps down. So something else had to have happened, but maybe Rose is a lap down due to a speeding penalty.
Very possible, and if you're doing that undercut, the last thing you want is any sort of penalty to happen while you're doing the undercut. But the field led back down pit road by Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford. Joseph Klein gonna bring us down in third.
Pretty spaced out. Nose to tail, down the pit lane we go. We'll see if anyone can get the jump on the 38, though he does have that first pit stall. A little bit late into the to bring the car to a full stop. That might give Crawford a chance right here.
So now, Ari, obviously, we're going to get the answer very soon here, and I think we probably already have. Everybody just saw the 78 take 2 tires on the previous stop here. As does that open up the book for anybody else? Looks like maybe Cody Gibson. No, Cody's going to have a 4-tire stop, so looks like everybody has 4 tires up and down pit road. But if you're running 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th coming in here, maybe think about it.
Certainly could. I'll tell you one thing that I'm noticing right away here, Tom. It's that the 74 of Nick Crawford entered pit road 2nd place, elects to get a bunch of damage fixed on that race car. He was on pit road for 1:09 seconds. There was no penalties. So that 74 elects to give up the track positions. I'm going to assume it was to get a little bit of damage fixed on that 74, but he's going to fall all the way down to P13 as it sits. I would be curious to see this time around if anybody elects to jump back down pit road and maybe top off fuel. I'm not sure what the fuel window looks like, but it could be close enough that drivers are willing to give up track position to be a little better off on fuel, maybe stretch it all the way to the end, or maybe make it on just one stop. Probably can't go to the end from here, but at least one stop to the end, and we might be looking at the difference of 1 and 2 stops as our big strategy play.
The car that you see behind the iRacing.com pace car, I believe that is going to be Shane Johnson in the number 2. Tail end of the lead lap right now, so he is going to get a wave around, I would presume, once they do see the 1-to-go signal. So he is going to be driving all the way around this circuit, but the race lead is currently held by the 38 of Christopher Norris and Joseph Klein, unless anybody elects to come down pit road out here. Looks like everybody's going to stay out and not come down pit road.
I was going to say, if anyone, it might be the 74. It looks like Wellman in the 42. He's going to elect to bring it down a second time. So one taker on the second pass by right here. He's going to give up a handful of positions, but most everyone else values the track position more than anything. And I tell you what, Tom, I might tend to agree. I think I like being in 3rd place, saving, the extra half lap of fuel, as opposed to taking that extra half lap and having to charge back up from 12th or 13th.
Yeah, Kyle Wellman, he's currently sitting 14th as the field runs right now. We're waiting for the entire field to get through, but it looks like he's going to lose multiple spots through that pit service that he elects to take. But now that's going to put Joseph Klein up on the front row. Christopher Norris Last time he saw the 78 take the right lane here, but Chris Norris elects to take the left lane for this restart. So a little bit of a flip from what we saw in stage 1. And don't look now, you got that Cheetos machine running in third.
Somehow, some way, Cody Gibson, he continues to pick up positions. He's up 6 from where he started this event. Couple of new faces up towards the front. That 5 car is going to be on the front row for the first time tonight. Gibson and Kanata both up from where they started. They'll be sharing that second row, trying to throw their names into the hat for the stage 3 restart, final restart of the evening, though we still have just shy of half of the race length left to play out right here. And if you're Christopher Norris in that 38, Tom, I can't help but think that the only thing going through your mind right here is nail the restart and wave goodbye.
Taking a quick look as we are pacing around under caution for the second stage out here tonight. Next week we are going to be at America's Home for Racing. We're going to be down in Charlotte Motor Speedway, and then we're going to be off for a week or two before they see the short track of Richmond, Virginia, Rockingham the following week, and then Michigan the next handful of upcoming races. And well, these drivers have a variety of tracks coming up, and it starts out here tonight with the road course of Sonoma Raceway.
Two by two as the pace car pulls off, puts the field back in the hands of the 38. Christopher Norris, the dominant car tonight. See what Joseph Klein can do in the 5 car alongside on the front row as we get ready to hit that restart zone. Green flag is in the air, and we are a go. It's a good restart for Klein and a bad one for the 38 of Norris. Up the hill and into turn 1. There is actively a black flag thrown at the 5. We'll see if race control removes that from the wheel spin on that restart. Under review currently as we speak, I am sure, but Joseph Klein leads up the hill. Norris is going to hold on a second. He might look for the spot down into turn 6 right here. They're going to be close. Door banging off of the corner down into turn 7 now. Looking for the hard braking zone. Norris going to try and take it back the hard way, and he is going to do it. Christopher Norris back into P1.
The 5 of Joseph Klein still being shown an active black flag from race control out here for possibly crossing the start-finish line before the 38, but looked like there was some wheel spin on the 38. We'll have to take a look and see how the how race control calls that for the number 5 of Joseph Klein. But the 38 has retaken the lead, but the 5 could be in trouble here with an active black flag.
That he could. We caught just a glimpse of it for a second there. Klein throwing a late block on the 16 of Kanata. New name in the picture ahead of Gibson, and that's going to be Mark Arthur, now up 6 positions from where he started, putting that 12 car up into the top 5 for the first time this evening. These drivers are starting to get a little spread out now as they figure it out and settle in just a little bit right here. I do believe we're going to have a battle on our hands before too long. A little bit further back right here is we've got Walker trying to hold off Milnes, who remember earlier was spun out going up the hill. Milnes trying to recover, as is the 74 of Crawford.
Arie, I am eavesdropping into conversations out here, and race control is saying that the 5 of Nolan Milnes is going to have to serve the black flag that is issued.
The 5 of Klein, that is. Thank you for that information, Tom. Unfortunate for driver 5, who had a great battle on that restart heading up the track, and for the first half of it, he wasn't able to hold on to it. He's going to have to pull off and serve that black flag, which will certainly hurt his result here tonight as we watch Jamie Walker close in on the 7 of Gibson. He got those left side tires in the dirt, and that is going
get tight down there.
And that it is. It allows the 20 by, and maybe the 74 might smell some blood in the water right here.
Put Jamie Walker up to the 5th place running position. Cody Gibson's going to lose a spot back to 6th place. Nick Crawford currently in 7th. Joseph Klein still 2nd out on the track, has not yet served the black flag that race control is telling him that he does need to serve. I believe this is going to be his last opportunity, his last lap, as drivers only get 3 laps to serve the black flag before you get a disqualification from the iRacing.com service. So let's keep a very close eye on that 5 as he comes around to pit lane next time by. But Nick Crawford also going to get around Cody Gibson out here for the 6th place running position, and Cody Gibson down to 7th.
Down to 7th after starting a lot further up on the restart, not the way Gibson wanted stage 3 to start. But if you're Nick Crawford, you've already gained about half of the positions you gave up getting that damage fixed on pit road. We're going to switch up here to P2 at the moment. Joseph Klein in that 5 with that penalty flag, going to have to pull it down on pit road. This time by out of P2, he's going to give up that spot to Joshua Kanata in the 16, and Mark Arthur in the 12 closing in on that 16 Toyota. And oh wow, he swings that rear end out quite a bit, does Arthur. You can see the tire tracks on the track as he does so and continues to close in. But Jamie Walker behind in that 20, even with all that damage, Tom, he's still charging.
He absolutely is, and having a great run out here tonight in that number 20 machine, as he's going to have Nick Crawford on the right side of him as they come up to the hill into turns 2, 2A and 2B, as they're going to go side by side down here between the 20 and the 74, give the advantage and the position to the 74. Now the 74 of Nick Crawford's going to set his sights on the Barbie mobile of Mark Arthur directly in front of him.
I tell you what, it looks like Nick Crawford, it looks like he's got 5-lap newer tires than those that he's racing based on some of the passes that we've seen up to this point, Tom, on this run. He's made his way all the way back up to 4th now, having gone from 2nd down to about 13th in that pit stop. He's now going to try and work over the 12 car of Mark Arthur, but he just looks so much more confident behind the wheel than the drivers he's racing.
We don't want to separate from this battle too much, but Joseph Klein just now leaving pit road to serve that black flag, but we're going to get right back over to Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker, Mark Arthur, and this battle for a 4th place running position. Mark Arthur now trying to chase down Nick Crawford for a podium finish out here tonight as we see 25 laps to go in tonight's Desert Dash 63.
Crawford back into the podium positions, and now we can jump on board the 74. We can see the next driver ahead of him, and potentially the last one he's got a chance to catch, unless strategy or issues come into play. Norris is already in a different zip code, but Kanata in the 16 in 2nd place. He is a driver that Crawford's going to be feeling like he can go up there and pass for position, and you can see already just based on the eye test how much he's closing in on Kanata as we hit the hard braking zone right here and down towards the S's. He's just getting off of the corner so well, not really spinning the tires. He's short shifting, making sure to eliminate any of that wheel spin. He's just got that car planted.
The visual test, Arie, at a road course, though, can be very deceiving because a lot of times you're looking at throttle time. Where is he gaining? Where is he losing? You have to really kind of look at the lap time. So last time by, Joshua Kanata was actually a little bit faster than the 74 of Nick Crawford, but you could see that Crawford has closed in to the back of the 16, but as soon as the 16 hits the loud pedal, it feels like he's got a little bit more tire, a little bit more stability in the rear of that car, that he's able to open up the gap on the longer straightaways, if you do have those at all here at Sonoma.
I would tend to disagree with that one, Tom. I'll play devil's advocate right here. I don't think it's that he's got more tire. I think it's that he's willing to use more tire, whereas Crawford's trying to be a little safer.
That's one way to look at it, but we're about to take a pretty good look at possibly a battle heating up for 2nd places. Now we're going to come down into the famous turn number 7 down here. Nick Crawford all over the back of the 16 of Kanata. Going to have an opportunity to set himself up for a run for 2nd place. Going to have to wait at least one more set of corners before they get past the S's down into turn number 10 and the hairpin of turn 11. But a couple of cars did come down onto pit road. A couple of cars did come down onto pit road. Joseph Klein has been down on pit road. I wonder if Joseph was able to take any sort of fuel on that stop there.
He very well may have. I can tell you that Cody Gibson has come down on pit road as well. His pit time was 5.9 seconds. So for Cody Gibson, that was either fuel only or 2 tires But either way, the 7 car has come down for service. Gabriel Ngoli is going to give up a spot out of the top 10 now to come down pit road himself. So certainly fuel cannot be stretched the rest of the way. Some of these drivers elected to get their pit stop out of the way early. We'll see what everyone elects to do throughout the course of this run and how far the leaders are willing to go before they make their stops.
On board with the 74 of Nick Crawford, and you can see just how aggressively he's hitting those curbs, and every time he does, it throws the car up for a ride. But he is now right to the rear bumper of the 16 of Joshua Kanata. See if he uses these curbs through the S's. He's going to use them perfectly through the first 2 and try to have a good second half of the S. It's going to get a little offline there. It's going to allow the 16 to open up some daylight.
That he is, and this has been another good defensive driving effort out of the 16, starting to make a name for himself as a driver that you don't want to have to try and pass. Down into the hairpin we go again. Crawford looks from a long way back, but he's just not close enough to send it, though Kanata opens the door, and that allows the 74 to get through, perhaps thought twice, and gave him the low line. That's going to do it. Mark Arthur on pit road right here. He's going to drop out of the top 5 to bring it on to pit road for his stop. Just to update, Gabriel Ngoli stopped from 1 lap ago. Ngoli also 6.5 seconds, only taking 2 tires or a splash, is the 55. So far we haven't seen anybody come down for a 4-tire stop to make it to the end. Just a mix of fuel onlys, maybe some 2-tire stops.
And let's bring this back around here with 22 laps remaining out in the stage and the race. Christopher Norris has opened up just over a 6-second gap to second place Nick Crawford, as you see the 74 run right now, but the 38 of Norris has been in a different zip code all night tonight. Nick Crawford runs in second. Joshua Kanata currently runs in 3rd place. We just saw him lose a position to the 74. Jamie Walker currently runs in 4th place, where he started out here tonight. And Nolan Milnes, after having an earlier race incident with the 78 of Ryan Rose, has rebounded up to a top 5 running position.
Milnes with a good recovery race up to this point. He's going to get around the lap car of Shane Johnson in the 2. Down into the hairpin goes Milnes, now finding himself in P5. And looking to chase down Jamie Walker in the 20, though. That is a gap that's approaching 4 seconds as we run. Joshua O'Brien's a driver, Tom, that we haven't really mentioned much tonight. Had a very quiet evening. He's up 2 spots from where he started in that 87 Camaro, and that thing looks pretty pristine.
If you can have a quiet night where the broadcast does not talk about you at Sonoma Raceway, you're either doing one of 2 things right. You're either leading the race or you're running a really smart race. In the 87, running a smart race. Started 8th out on the board out here tonight. Currently runs in the 6th place running position with just 21 laps to go in tonight's Desert Dash 63 for the All-American Racing League. Having a great run as he tries to chase down the one directly in front of him of Nolan Milnes.
No more drivers made a pit stop that last time around. We'll keep you updated as they elect to pull down on pit road. But as far as we are concerned, everybody inside of the top 12 has to come down for fuel before the end of the race. 13th on, well, I guess now it's 12th with Cody Gibson would be the first driver who can, pending
Jamie
pit
Walker
stops.
on pit road.
There we go, Jamie Walker. Outside of the top 5 brings it down onto pit road.
So we've only seen, Ari, I apologize to interrupt, we've only seen a mix of fuel and maybe some damage being fixed on some of these cars out here tonight underneath the green flag pit stop. See if the 20 does anything. Shane Johnson a lap down, also on pit road. Larry Bell is on pit road, going to pit from a top 10 running position. What does the 20 do? Want to keep an eye on this because this very well could set the tone for what the race leaders elect to do. Jamie Walker down on pit road, no tires for the 20.
Fuel only for Jamie Walker, a 6.18 second pit stop. Looks like fuel only has been the play for all of the drivers in contention that have come down for their final pit stops as we watch Nick Crawford in the 74, driver in second place at the moment. He's already pulled just over 3 seconds on Joshua Kanata after making that pass. He is going to be on an island just driving his race, though Christopher Norris is also on an island driving his race. He's 7 seconds up the road and just out for a Saturday evening drive.
The difficult part about this, Arie, is that Christopher Norris, Nick Crawford, Joshua Kanata, they don't necessarily know. We have the advantage of being able to go back, look at replays, look at pit times, look at total pit times. These drivers up front, they may not know that nobody's taking tires. They're driving the car, right? Obviously, if they've got somebody helping out, or maybe if they're eavesdropping in on the broadcast, right? Maybe they've got some insider information. But do any of these drivers up here take 2 tires thinking that other drivers are doing the same thing?
It's an interesting point that you bring up for certain, and especially the idea that drivers could be listening into the broadcast while it's going. I was never able to do that too much myself. I found it a little too distracting, but I do know that a handful of drivers do like to do that, and it can definitely provide a good little advantage in terms of what's going on around you without needing, you know, an external crew chief or spotter to do that for you.
Inside 20 laps to go right now, taking a look at Zachary Wake, the winner from the inaugural race of the All-American Racing League at Daytona. He's setting his sights on the 78 of Ryan Rhodes, who's made his way back up into a 7th place running position. Short pitted at the end of stage number 2. Goes a lap down through the cycle of yellow flag pit stops, green flag pit stops, the mix that we had there, and had to restart stage number 3 for the 78 back a little bit further than he was anticipating. So we do still need to see the 78 come down pit road. Looks like the first car that can probably make it, that's going to be Jamie Walker, currently running back in 9th place as he pit on lap number 43. Everybody else has not yet pit inside the top 10.
And being that there's not really tires being thrown into the mix, it's an interesting pit sequence, an interesting pit window, Tom, where, you know, we're going to catch this replay here with an issue with Trevor Harmon as up the hill. It looks like, oh, he just gets into Bruton, who was already kind of out of control. He's going to get help from behind as well. A little bit of a domino effect right here as the 83 gets off track, and he's going to try and correct it. Gets back on track. There's just nowhere for Trevor Harmon to go. And with that, he gets help from the 55 of Goli. Great shot right here.
Yeah, that is the epitome of wrong place, wrong time for Trevor Harmon. Nobody really did anything egregiously wrong right there. It was just 3 cars coming together.
Certainly was, and to the point...
Nick Crawford on pit road.
There we go, P2 on pit road. Being that we haven't seen tires, it's interesting, Tom, because usually you would think, oh, the drivers who already pit, they're going to jump everyone else. Well, that's not so much the case when nobody's taking tires. You pretty much even out, and it just comes down to preference. Do you want to make your pit stop while your tires are better, or do you want to stretch it out further before you come down?
I think a lot of it, Arie, you try to do the math in your head, right? What you ultimately want at the end of a green flag pit stop is you want clean track in front of you when you exit pit road. Now on an oval, it's probably it's a lot easier to make that negotiation in your head. But on a road course here, we see Nick Crawford, actually one of the first drivers to come through with 4 tires. Cody Gibson stays out on track. Nolan Milnes on pit road. Looks like the tires are up on the 1, so 4 tires for the 1 and the 78. We're going to wait to see if we see the left sides go up, and yes, we do. So now we start to see a little bit of change in strategy here. We've got no tires. We've got 4 tires.
That we do. Very interesting. So a handful of drivers, they just want the fuel to make it to the end, and they're going to have as little a pit stop time as they can. Some of these other drivers were at about halfway through stage 3 right now. They're figuring they'll push all out, take 4 tires, and push all out again.
And it's going to be the difference of about 8 seconds here. So Nolan Milnes, his total pit lane time from cone to cone, from start of pit road speed to end of pit road speed, including the service, was 50 seconds. Cody Gibson came down. Remember, Cody Gibson was one of the first cars to come down without... Where am I at here? Cody Gibson was a 42-second stop. So the difference in those 4 tires about 8 seconds.
I tell you what, Tom, I think those 4 tires are going to be worth more than 8 seconds by the end of it. So given it's only 8 seconds at a place like Sonoma, initially I wasn't on team take tires. I figured, yeah, just splash and go, but I don't know. 4 tires, 8 seconds, give me the tires.
Well, we may see the race leader come down to pit road this time. I saw him, I heard something from the race leader. Couldn't quite decipher what he said, but it looks like Christopher Norris going to elect to stay out at least one more lap. Joshua Kanata currently runs in second. We'll keep an eye and see if Joshua Kanata comes down pit road. William Bruton has made his way down on pit road from the 16th place running position. If I'm Joshua Kanata or Joshua O'Brien right now, I'm showing my hand in the 16 on pit road.
Kanata is going to bring it down around that sketchy bend right here. You want to keep it out of the walls as the 80 finds issues. Rob Higgs in the hairpin right there. He keeps it going. Little cameo in shot right there as we jump back.
Joshua O'Brien, Alex Fuller, second, third, and fourth place as they run all on pit road. So now Christopher Norris on notice. We got to be coming to the end of the fuel run here. Zachary Wake, the entire top 5 on pit road, with the exception of the race leader, and issues black flag for the 45.
Alex Fuller speeding on pit road, I do believe is the penalty, and he's going to have to hold for 40 seconds. Alex Fuller, who is having a fantastic run up to this point, he is going to get the bad end of that one as we see Kanata now making his way off of pit road. It was 4 tires for Kanata, 4 tires for Milnes as well, as now the field is starting to shake out just a little bit more. Move Crawford up to P2, and here we go, Tom. Crawford making his way through turn 6, while Norris is now on pit road. It's going to be 14 laps to go at the line on pit road for Christopher Norris. Does he take tires? Does he not? He had a 7+ second advantage on pit entry before the sequence started. That was over Nick Crawford, who took 4 tires a couple of laps prior. He would have had that pace advantage as the 38 brings it down into pit road. We can see on the track map the 74 of Crawford makes his way through the hairpin. It is going to be a 4-tire stop for the 38 of Norris, and he should get out with plenty of time to spare.
Christopher Norris hits the loud pedal. He's going to come out of pit road, and that's going to leave as we wait for the timing to really sort out. Looks like going to be just under 3 seconds, maybe closer to 3.5 by the time everybody gets up to speed. About a 4-second gap from first to second place for the 38 to the 74, and I do believe that sorts and completes our green flag pit stops out here tonight with 14 laps to go.
That it does. We can see the damage on the 55 of Goli from that incident a couple laps ago. Certainly can't be helping the handling of that 55 as Joshua O'Brien in the 87 is going to start to drive away. Ryan Rose just behind. He's going to be trying to close in as well, having made a 4-tire pit stop in the recent laps. Goli seems to be struggling a little bit in that 55.
Yeah, and you can see the damage up there, and I got to imagine that that damage is probably affecting some of the right front suspension there. But on the flip side of that quarter, Arie, we saw damage maybe even more severe than that to the 20 of Jamie Walker, and Jamie is still running solidly up in a 3rd place running position. Looks like he's got that car mostly fixed up, a lot better than what it did look like at the beginning of stage number 2 for that 20, but still carries on his way. But yes, some damage for the 55.
Nothing a mallet can't help with beating out of the cars. I will say, following Alex Fuller's earlier penalty, Alex Fuller has another penalty right now sitting on pit road. So a good night gone bad, gone worse for that Scooby-Doo machine. And Alex Fuller, not too sure what that one was for, perhaps another speeding penalty. But Christopher Norris, he has the race lead. You can see Nick Crawford in frame right there. He's within 4 seconds, but Norris is going to have the 3-lap fresher tires. You got to wonder how much that's going to be worth.
Nick Crawford last time by was faster than Jamie Walker. We're going to have to wait another lap before we get any usable time on the 38 as he is still working his second outlap here for the number 38 of Christopher Norris, but it has been all the 38 out front as he is now going to see a dozen laps to go in the first road course of the season for the All-American Racing League as he comes through the hairpin and into the restart zone across the start-finish line. The 38 this time by about 0.8 of a second faster than second place.
That will certainly cover the gap. One of the closest battles on track at the moment, Nolan Milnes, Mark Arthur. And don't forget, Arthur elected to only take fuel, whereas Milnes had 4 tires, and we can see the difference right here as these two go wheel to wheel across the front straightaway. Arthur's going to do his best to hang in there, but Milnes being on 4 tires, I just don't see how you can compete with that.
They're going to make a little bit of contact, a little bit of argy-bargy as they come up the hill, but issues for Joshua O'Brien. Issues for a strong runner out here tonight. Is he going to... No, he's not going to hit the barrels, but down here into the hairpin, he's just going to go for a lazy slide, make some contact. Oh, the 78 of Ryan Rose hits the right rear of the 87. He's going to get out of the way as quickly as he can. Not what the 87 wanted.
Certainly not, and not what the 78 wanted to see either. Ryan Rose, he is actually on pit road, so it looks like that damage was enough to bring the 78 on pit road with some suspension damage, perhaps. So that takes Ryan Rose out of the top 5 contention. Another fast driver tonight finding trouble as Norris starts to work over a couple of lapped vehicles. He's got that gap up to about 5 seconds over P2. This will surely cut into that just a little bit.
Gets to the outside of the 80 of Rob Higgs Jr. having a solid run out here tonight. Goes a lap down, but still running out in 14th as you see some dust being kicked up as drivers have a little bit of an off-track excursion out there. But Christopher Norris able to make his way around the 2-lap vehicles down into turn number 7. He's going to set his sights on the S's down here with the clean track in front of him.
And it's important to note, while these drivers are a lap down and to a degree expected to concede to the race leader, this is for position between the 31 and the 80. These two are the first drivers, sorry, not the first drivers a lap down, but they are racing for position P13, P14, and Nick Crawford's going to be the next one of the race leaders to pull up on these two. They are a little more spread out at this point, so can potentially get by with a little less hassle than the race leader. But you got to be careful about that.
It puts them in a little bit of a difficult position here because, you know, they're racing for a position, but now you got second place Nick Crawford running directly behind you here. You know, and Nick Crawford is just under 5 seconds behind the race leader. Do the lap cars say, hey, you're 5 seconds back. We got a spot here that, you know, it puts them in kind of that little spot right there that they need to make that decision. And all 3 drivers need to come to some sort of agreement.
Yeah, it's tricky to manage from both sides, I think, as the 74 gets maybe contact, or maybe the 80 was loose. Didn't get a good angle of it right there, but he's going to get around on track right there, and it looks like this is actually going to hurt Crawford more than it hurt Norris. That gap is now up to 6 seconds and climbing.
Through the bottom hill of the S's, see Sam Dyer and that damage number 31 going to go off track. Allow the 74 of Nick Crawford to take that spot, but battle right now. This is for position, albeit a lap down, but a position battle between the 31 and the 80, Sam Dyer and the 31, and Rob Higgs Jr. in that red and green, very festive number 80 Ford Mustang out here tonight into the hairpin. Sam's going to lose that spot to the 80, and I do believe the 80 is probably going to drive away with the amount of damage that's on the 31 of Dyer.
I would venture to say so. As we jump further up, Joseph Klein, who had that penalty on the restart in stage 3, finds himself in P8 at the moment. His last pit stop was on lap 37, and it could very well have been for that penalty. It looks like the pit lane time was the pit stop time was 40.7. So I've got to imagine. And yeah, sure enough, here we are, Tom. He does have to come down for fuel, so he's going to give up that top 10 spot and fall down the order once again.
Yeah, it looks like he has the potential to lose probably 2 spots here for Joseph Klein, as Rob Higgs Jr. is 43 seconds back. So we've seen pit lane times hovering around that 40-45 second mark. We'll see exactly what it is for the number 5, but a frustrating night with the black flag on the stage 3 restart. Had to come down pit road, take an untimely penalty, and then also had to come down and get some fuel as the race went along out here. But difficult night for the 5. That one's going to be difficult to swallow.
Difficult to swallow indeed. A couple of battles going on track right now. Gabriel Goli in the 55. He's trying to hold on to P8 as we run. Joshua O'Brien in the 87 and Zachary Wake in the 39 trying to chase him down. All three for position as we currently make our way through the S's right here with 8 laps remaining. A little bit further up in the field, Cody Gibson, he's trying to hold on to P4, but a hard-charging Joshua Kanata on 4 tires is trying to chase down Gibson. Now, Gibson took fuel only, whereas Kanata took 4 tires, so right here we get to see the 2 strategies converge with only 8 laps to go and which one's going to work out.
You gotta like the look of the 16 right here, as opposed to Cody Gibson directly in front of you. 8 laps is a lifetime around here, and he's gonna get right to the back bumper of that Cheetos machine. And he needs to realize that, you know, you don't need to necessarily make the pass right down here in turn number 7, although it looks like that's what's going to happen. But Joshua Kanata able to make his way around for 4th place running position. Cody Gibson still hangs on to a solid top 5 as they run right now. It's 8 laps to go.
Well, I tell you what, in terms of the no-tire strategies, Jamie Walker is in 3rd place. He's about 5 seconds up the road from Joshua Kanata. Can Kanata make up that 5-second difference and get the pass done in the last 7 laps, as Jamie Walker doesn't have those fresh tires? We'll see, but I feel like it might be asking just a little too much, as there's some smoke on track. I believe it was more issues for the 31 of Sam Dyer. See if we can't cue that up. Potentially.
Well, I see 2 issues here for Sam Dyer. We'll take a look at the second one and see what happens with the 31 here. This is the second of the 2 that I see. So now down here into the hairpin, he's going to go for a little bit of a lazy slide. No harm, no foul there. Let's take a look at the first incident for the 31.
That hairpin's not treating him well. Man, he got into that one.
If I was the 80 there, I would be mildly concerned with how fast he was closing.
I would agree with that statement, Tom. I would agree with that. That was I would have needed a new pair of pants if I saw that in my rearview mirror. Look at the closing rate on that. Wow, the 80 is so lucky to have not been absolutely... what is it, Brian Vickers into the corner?
Is that the term?
I don't know. Him and Stewart that one year.
Let's go back and take a look. I don't necessarily remember it, but Christopher Norris having the run of his life out here tonight. Nick Crawford with a slowdown for an off track, but Christopher Norris with 6 laps to go, going to see a high 5 over the speedway next time by through the S's. Having a great run. It takes a different type of driver, Arie, to come out here on a road course and stay mentally stable the entire night and keep that focus to keep the tires in between the white lines on the track and not make those mental mistakes as the race goes along, and the 38 has done just that.
He certainly has, and you know, as a driver who's done my fair share of road course racing, and I've had my fair share of wins on road course races, that's always been something that I've admired in some of my competitors, the ability to just knock it out lap after lap after lap. As fast as I might be at some of these, I could never quite, get the consistency down. I would always have a mistake or two, and sometimes it would cost me more than others. But that just lap after lap consistently keeping the times together, not dipping the car too far off the track, not having a lazy slide, what have you. Norris has put on a really good run tonight, and that's gonna certainly put the field on notice for the remaining road course races throughout the season. And let's not forget, last week at Dover, Norris was one of the faster drivers. He didn't quite get to show it, but he did make a lot of passes coming up through the field a couple times. That 38 in his 2 races out here in the All-American Racing League is certainly a driver, driver to take note of.
This time by, we're going to see 4 laps to go over the speedway for Christopher Norris. One of the closer battles happening right out on track right now. Cody Gibson just got passed by Joshua Kanata. Now Nolan Milnes sets its sights up on the number 7. He's got a long ways to go if he wants to get that position. Joshua O'Brien, after having an issue a couple of laps ago, he is recycled back into the 9th place running position behind the number 39 Ford Mustang of Zachary Wake. As they run right now, everybody's gonna squeak by those tires on the exit of turn number 6. And I've hit those tires a couple of times, Ari. Haven't seen anybody do that out here tonight.
Have not either. And I tell you what, this battle isn't over, Tom. We were wondering
anywhere.
Yeah, we were wondering if Kanata was going to catch Walker. Well, how about Gibson coming back on no tires, trying to make the pass on Kanata's 4 tires? Did not let him run away with it. Gibson keeping him on, as Kanata certainly having driven the wheels off of that thing quite literally. You know, given pitting halfway through the stage and taking tires, you got to imagine you're going to be pretty hard on the tires to make the most out of it. So as we come down to the end here, we still got to make it 4 entire laps. This could fly back into Gibson's house.
Yeah, I'm really quite surprised. I thought when the 16 of Kanata got around the 7 of Gibson, I thought he was going to walk away and say, you know, I'll see you next week. But that has not been the case. Cody Gibson has stayed strong in that 5th place running position, still putting the heat on the back of the number 16 of Kanata. And last time by, Gibson Joshua must have had an issue last time by, because he was 2 seconds slower than Cody Gibson. So got to believe there's issues, maybe some warm tires on that number 16 now, as we're going to get another look here for the 4th place spot.
You can see the rear end is a little unstable on entry for Kanata in the 16, and that's where Gibson just makes up so much time. He's able to pull up alongside him, and that could certainly be how they've been racing this 3rd stint. You got to imagine Gibson not having taken tires. He's been taking it easy. He's been smart on the tires. Kanata is racing a strategy that kind of calls for being aggressive and really using up what you got. What that also means is that those temperatures the tire temps are a lot hotter and a lot slicker. Cody Gibson, despite being on older tires, he's in a good spot right here where he's just been consistent. He's taking care of the tires, and now it's about evening out.
Sees if he can set himself up with a good turn number 6 here to give him an opportunity in the passing zone of turn number 7. He may be close enough to take a look here, Ari. He's going to send the 16 down into turn number 7. No contact, but certainly made him look up in the rearview mirror, and an opportunity now for the number 7 to optimize down in turn number 10 to try to take 4th place away from the 16 of Kanata, as we're going to have just 2 laps to go out here this evening.
2 laps to go, and this is one of the closest battles. It is the closest battle on track. Pardon me, a battle for P4. A couple of top 5 spots still up for grabs right here. You can see as we make our way through the hairpin. No contest out front for the first 3 positions, but this one still to be determined. Joshua Kanata last took tires on lap 48. He took 4 of them. Cody Gibson's last set of tires was at the end of stage 2 in the early 30s lap count-wise, but Gibson is holding on strong, and Kanata's got to hold off for 2 more laps, but man, Gibson's car is just a whole lot more under control right now.
Just 2 laps remaining. Cody Gibson all over the back of the 16. We're going to stay right with this battle here, but one thing I do want to highlight out here tonight, Ari, Christopher Norris, Jamie Walker, and Dakota Moniz, 3 drivers without an off track out here tonight. So just 3 of the 26 drivers who came into tonight's race have yet to have an off track excursion, and those show That's first and third place, and Dakota running back in 21st. But a couple of drivers staying stable throughout the course of the race. But Christopher Norris has taken the white flag out here in the Desert Dash, 63.
Certainly impressive not to dip a single wheel off of the racing surface a single time throughout the evening, especially for those who have made it up to this distance. And I think it's pretty telling that two of the only two drivers to have made it every single lap and not dipped a wheel off are two drivers. Oh, we're gonna have some technical difficulties right here, as it looks like.
While you get that situated, Arie, Christopher Norris is still in the race lead. He is.
All right, Tom is going to call the race from his perspective while we get this sorted.
All right, big slide for Cody Gibson down into the turn number 7, but Christopher Norris, it has been all the 38 as he comes across the start-finish line, and Christopher Norris going to make us 5 for 5 on winners out here tonight in the All-American Racing League. Nick Crawford going to come home second place, followed by Jamie Walker 16 seconds back on the race leaders. Joshua Kanata has stepped away from Cody Gibson just a little bit, with a slide from the 7 of Cody Gibson. Joshua Kanata now in the final hairpin turn of the night. Cody Gibson not close enough to make a move, and Joshua Kanata is going to come home fourth. Cody Gibson going to round out the top 5. Actually, Cody Gibson's out of fuel at the start-finish line. Out of fuel, Nolan Milnes gets a top 5. Cody Gibson still is not crossed the start-finish line. He has lost 2 positions to Mark Arthur and Nolan Milnes, and still not crossed the start-finish line for Cody Gibson. He is down to 7th place. Zachary Wake is coming, but not able to take the spot. Cody Gibson, in a thriller of a finish, going to come home 7th out of fuel at the start-finish line. Zachary Wake is past the hairpin, and he is past the start-finish line. He's going to come home 8th. Joshua O'Brien in the 87 going to come home in 9th, and Gabriel Ngoli going to round out the top 10 as they run. Hey, we are going to step away for just a moment, get the top 3 situated, and we'll be back live here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network for the post-race interviews.
All right, we are back, and we will give it just a second for the broadcast to pick back up. Apologies for the technical difficulties with the broadcast here towards the finish of the race. We have our top 3 pulled around at the start-finish line. No change of position for our podium finishers by the time it was all said and done. And with that, we can pull up some of our top 3 finishers. I think we can start with Jamie Walker. I think Tom is caught up with our P3 finisher.
I have caught up with Jamie Walker, the driver of the number 20 out here tonight. Jamie, you started out here tonight 4th. You're coming home in a podium finish, the first road course of the season for the All-American Racing League, and you had a quiet night out here with a podium. How was your night?
I tell you what, man, I'm wore out. This place will definitely beat you to death, especially trying to come back up through traffic when we had that little melee up there on top of the hill up there. So, well, I was driving it off there.
Yeah, now we saw some different tire strategies at the end of the race. What was your thoughts going into the final stop there? You know, thinking 4 tires, 2 tires, no tires, because we saw a little bit of everything from up here.
I know myself on the long run, I tend to save tires pretty good. So I was catching that 16, so I knew if I just took fuel only there and make it to the end, I should be able to jump him, and I was able to do that.
Yeah, well, Jamie, you come into tonight. I'm trying to find you here. You come into tonight setting your sights on the playoffs, which are going to begin in just a couple of weeks. I mean, we've got probably 8 or 9 weeks before the playoffs begin, but going into the round of 12, we've got Las Vegas, Darlington, Nashville. What kind of track do we expect to see that number 20 having solid and good runs at throughout the remainder of the All-American Racing League season here?
For surely anything short track, I love those places, and then some intermediates I'm decent at, but yeah, mostly the short tracks is where I'll stand out.
All right. Well, next week we are at Charlotte, and then you're going to get your wish. We're going to one of the first short tracks of the season at Richmond Raceway to begin the new year in 2026. But Jamie, I'm going to congratulate you on a top 3 finish out here tonight, and we're going to open up the floor for you. And you want to say hello to. The floor is all yours, sir.
First and foremost, I got to thank you guys up in the booth taking time out of your schedule to watch us guys go around the track. Cody for putting this league on, and can't thank him enough. He asked me to join a few weeks ago, and I'm plugging away at the points trying to get up there. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, thanks to everybody else for racing clean.
All right, that is the driver, the number 20, Jamie Walker. We're going to see him next week at Charlotte and see if he can't come home with another podium finish or 2 spots better to get his first win of the season. And I believe my co-host, Miss Arie, has caught up with the 74.
That's right. I've got Nick Crawford, our runner-up finisher tonight, who for the first portion of the race looked like it was going to be pretty simple run to the end. You might have had something for Norris on the short runs, but by the time it all settled out, you were kind of evening out in second, but then you had that pit stop where you fell back to 13th, and you had to claw your way all the way back, and you did, up into P2. Walk us through your race, Nick.
Yeah, I think my teammate was hustling in practice because we've been doing some practice this week, and we were pretty much even. He was definitely fastest for like qualifying and all that, but I could hold him off. I can catch back. I think he was hustling, but beginning of the race, I felt like I had something, and then I didn't have the long run like he did. He just was able to preserve the tires a little bit better, or a lot better actually, and just pull away. And luckily I was second best, so I could at least hold on to second, and the stages were short enough to where the 5 car couldn't catch me. But that end of the second stage pit stop, I actually sped on pit road. So I just waited in my box until everybody went by, just because I was embarrassed. I was trying to catch up, but went 1 mile per hour over. But yeah, my brain was melting. I don't know. I was just so anxious for this race on race day, but not before. So it was a hard race to drive.
It certainly looked like it. These cars were all over the place, especially that rear end kicking out quite a bit. Well, I tell you what, Nick, you have been the best driver this season to not have gotten a win yet. 5 races in, we've had 5 different winners. You've been so close, I think, at various points every single one of these 5 weeks. What are the tracks that you have circled coming up here on the schedule? Where are the places that you really fancy might be your best shot?
Well, that was today. Road courses I'm supposed to be good at, and I was today, but my teammate was better. I'm pretty decent at Charlotte. I've been pretty good at there in the trucks. I don't know if it translates to the B car here. I don't know. We're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna just take every week, starting at practice, not really worry about it. The road course was an exception because my teammate wanted to practice and I wanted to. But Charlotte is a track I'm pretty decent at, but the other one's hit or miss.
Fair enough. Well, I tell you what, it was a job well done tonight. You entered this race the highest in points without a win. You're certainly going to remain that way as well, bringing home a lot of points. We're going to open up the floor to you to give any shout-outs, thank yous, hays, and highs before we let you go.
Yeah, of course, I have to shout out to my beautiful wife, as always. She's amazing. Shout out to my teammate, Christopher Norris, for getting the win, and then Joshua Kanata for also getting a good finish. I think he got like fourth. Um, a shout out to you guys for putting on a great broadcast and the admins for doing all they do in this league.
Absolutely. Congratulations again. That is our P2 finisher. And that leaves us with the big winner of tonight's race, who I think Tom has caught up with.
And that I have driver the number 38. Chris Norris comes home with the victory in just your second start in the All-American Racing League. Chris, 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
No, not at all. I actually mainly joined this league for this race. Nick and I go way back. He's actually technically my dad. Not actually, though. We don't have the same last name. And I knew that we typically go band for band, or we just go against each other, typically at road courses. And it's always a blast racing against him and leads on road courses. So I was really hoping to race him, and that's what we did. Had a little bit of a struggle with those restarts. That second one, I thought I was in control of the restart. I don't think I was. But if I did, I don't know. I slipped up. I even missed a shift out of surprise and messed up. That first one, though, with Ryan Rose there, I mean, I'm not the one to use the bumper. I accidentally tapped him there, but I just had to set him up and pass him when I could. Same goes with, I think it was Zachary Wake who was in front of me there at the second restart. Just, you know, I knew I could steal away. I mean, I practiced with Nick a few times throughout the week, and I knew if I was behind someone and the dirty air got into me, then I knew I would have trouble. Just because it just gets a little bit loose under there. But I knew if I got in the front, I could steal away, and that's what I did.
Yeah, we saw the opportunity a couple of times. Obviously, once you got out front, you were able to gap the lead and put several seconds between you and second place. But we saw the opportunity several times for you to lose control of the race, and you stayed with them throughout those restarts, and you were able to lead the most laps out here tonight, and you're going to become the 5th different winner in the All-American Racing League out here. Now, you said that you kind of just joined the race, kind of joined the season for this race. Do we anticipate to see that 38 back out on track maybe next week at Charlotte?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be back as much as I can. I actually was like pretty much like a full-time iRacing lead guy, but life caught up to me. I'm a full-time college student now, so I'm battling with that. But as long as I don't have college finals, which actually that's next week, so if I can win the race, hopefully I can win my finals. But I don't know about that right now. Accounting is not easy, but as long as you know, a job or photography or also, which is on my car, or college doesn't catch up to me, I'll definitely be back.
All right, Chris, you come away with the checkered flag out here tonight. I'm going to open up the floor for you, my fellow Pittsburgh native, to anybody you want to thank. Say hello to on the side of that number 38 machine with the win out here tonight.
I appreciate it. So definitely on the side of my car, I see Norris Photo. It's really Christopher Norris Photo. I own my own photography company. So I do local games, local races, stuff like that. So if you're a, I don't know, a race car driver out there, events holder, I've worked with companies with marketing departments or concerts, this and that and the other. So if you want to pay me to travel, I'll do anywhere in the US as long as I get time. If not, if you're in Pennsylvania, hit me up. I'll come photograph your event. I also want to give a big shout out to Nick Crawford, you know, my quote unquote dad. He's a great guy. I always love racing with him. Rest of my teammates, Joshua Kanata, Sam Dyer, he's a great broadcaster. And also Conan Moniz, happy birthday to him. And also my parents are usually typically watching, but I did not tell them about this race, so they're not watching tonight. And also you guys put on a great show, and also the league admins for putting this on.
All right, Chris, congratulations once again on picking up your first out of 2 wins out here tonight in just your second race in the All-American Racing League. We will see you next week at Charlotte.
Thank you.
All right, and that's the top 3 podium finishers as they came across the line out here tonight, Arie. Wasn't expecting some fuel mileage at the end there, but Cody Gibson lost several spots at the end, loses 3 or 4 spots before he gets to the start-finish line.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising to listen to on the on the impromptu radio call that we got there at the end of it. But Gibson was he was putting on quite a show there with Joshua Kanata for P4 with that tire discrepancy. The fuel just didn't work out, and sometimes that's how it goes. But created a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of drama at the very end of it, and sounds like there might be some internal team drama, maybe lightheartedly between those top 2 with the 38 potentially sandbagging in their practice. But we'll have to pick that story up next week at Charlotte, and more specifically the next time we hit a road course and watch those 2 go at it. But I tell you what, why don't we take a look at our final results for tonight's event in Sonoma, race 5 of the season, in which Christopher Norris is our big winner. Makes it 5 for 5 to start the season in terms of different winners. Nick Crawford comes up in P2 ahead of Jamie Walker to round out the podium. Joshua Kanata is 4th ahead of Nolan Milnes with a good recovery drive to P5. Mark Arthur finishes in 6th ahead of the Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Cody Gibson in 7th place, running out of fuel at the end. Zachary Wake in 8th ahead of Joshua O'Brien in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, it's Gabriel Ngoli.
On the outside of the top 10, you've got Joseph Klein having to serve a black flag in the beginning of stage number 3, comes home in 11th. Larry Bell in that famous number 43 comes home with the 12th place finish out here tonight. He's going to be followed by Rob Higgs Jr. in 13th. Sam Dyer is going to come home in 14th in that damage number 31. Out here this evening, 1 lap down. Alex Fuller was having a good night until it went bad in that 45. William Bruton in the 83 comes home 6th place. He's going to be followed by Trevor Harmon and Ryan Rose in the top 18, followed by Shane Johnson and Kyle Wellman.
In 21st, Dakota Moniz ahead of Caleb West in 22nd. Christopher Puglisi in 23rd. Brian Troy finishes 24th. Rounding out the field, it's Jackson West and Nicholas Sasek.
And that is the race out here tonight. Race number 5 done and away. The checkered flag is flown and the points are handed out from the All-American Racing League. Arie, it's not every week that I get to be up here with you on a Saturday night, but I certainly enjoyed being able to call a road course with you here at Sonoma, and these drivers put on a great show.
Well, you know, I always like a race at Sonoma. I prefer to be behind the wheel, but, you know, if we're going to go road course racing, this is my place. I tell you what, we've got a history at Charlotte, and that's where we go next week.
We do have a history at Charlotte, yeah, and you know, I don't think that there's a better track on the schedule that kind of brings the field closer together while still inviting tire strategy, while still inviting aerodynamics. Charlotte kind of races like a track all of its own, and we'll see who's able to take the checkered flag out there next week. But we're going to be off the following week, and then we return back for some short track racing at Richmond the following one.